Welcome to How Do They Afford That, the podcast that peeks into the financial lives of everyday Australians. I'm Michael Thompson. I'm a writer and co-host of the Fear and Greed Business Podcast. I'm with, as always, Canna Campbell, previously a financial planner, now the founder of Sugar Mama TV, the financial literacy platform that you will find on YouTube and podcasts, obviously, Instagram, all over social media, books as well. Holiday spending is the topic today, and this is something that I think everyone wants to talk about this one because it's something fun.
Exactly. Can I ask you a quick question? Do you have a holiday booked?
In 12 months' time, yes.
In 12
we
months.
do, yes.
And where are you going?
Fiji.
Oh.
Yes. We went in September of this year, and so we enjoyed it so much that we're going, you know what, we will do this again next year.
Oh, fantastic.
It's great. And what we did this year, though, we kind of forgot about school because our eldest is only just in kindergarten. And so kind of having to plan around school holidays and things is a new thing for us.
And it's a lot more expensive in school holidays.
Yeah, indeed. And so we just kind of booked this time. And then about a week out, like, hang on, we can't go. He's got school. And so we spoke to the school and said, hey, are you okay if we go? It's only for a week.
It's so far.
And it was okay. It was fine. But you are right. It is a whole lot cheaper if you do not go in school holidays. I don't know if we'll get away with it next year as well.
Look, I am someone who regularly pulls my son out of school to go on weekends away.
It is life education.
Well, exactly. And I'm like, my son's school pretty relaxed. I think it happens a lot. And I said, look, I'll make sure he reads a book every day. We'll do some maths on the plane or in the car.
Yeah.
And it's like school of life.
Yes. Yep.
And you know what? If he was doing the HSC or had a big assignment or exam, it's a little bit different. And he's not saying I don't want to miss school. Like he's quite open to it. But the savings are definitely quite substantial.
Okay. Well, I want to talk to you about savings in advance, kind of how you save for a holiday, but also what you do once you're on holidays. Because if you're on too tight a budget, it can kind of ruin your fun a little bit while you're on holiday. So I want to talk about how we have a regret-free, a guilt-free kind of holiday. But before we do that, I need to remind you, of course, that as you're listening, anything that we talk about is always general in nature. It is never personal, investment, strategic, or product advice. It is, as always, purely for financial education purposes only.
We don't know anything about your financial situation, goals, deadlines, or even risk profile. So should anything be of interest to you and you think, hey, is this for me? Should I be doing this as well? That is when you must go and see a financial planner and ask them for personal advice based on your situation and your goals.
All right. Holidays, of course, we are not too far away now from the summer holidays. So we want to talk how you save for it, how you enjoy yourself without ending up saddled with a huge amount of debt. After probably a couple of years now of lockdowns, of no international travel, of no regional travel, not leaving your house really for quite a long period of time, there's been a bit of a mad rush this year for everyone going on holidays, both kind of domestically, interstate, overseas, the lot. Airfares are through the roof. Accommodation is booked out kind of everywhere. It is a little bit of a nightmare trying to coordinate, but we're still going to do it.
You know, even cars, to hire a car is obscenely expensive. It's crazy. And
especially you hear horror stories of flights being cancelled and people having to kind of drive across half the country kind of thing. And so it feels like travel is not yet quite the easy thing that it once was, but everyone's still going to do it.
We're still desperate to bust out.
Find a way. So how do you do it? How do you save for a holiday? Are you in your budgeting system? Is a holiday one of those things that you are putting a little bit aside for every week?
Yes. So each time we get paid, there is a certain amount of money that goes into a lifestyle account, which is what I talked about in this budgeting podcast that we did. Yep. So a certain amount of money goes each time we get paid into that account, and it slowly and steadily builds up over time. And from a mental health point of view, it's so nice to, when you log into your bank account and check the transactions and your budget and make sure you're all on top of it, which I do, at nighttime in bed, but lying next to Tom. It's so, I know.
Oh, I love the fact that you keep on mentioning it as though it's going to get cooler. Like, no, it's
I guess we've got kids, so for us to have a conversation about budgets during the day or at bed, bath and dinner time is just not going to happen. It's probably the only moment in the day where we can actually quickly talk about something, and we get up very, very early in the morning as well. So that's our sacred time.
Yep.
But it's so helpful because we're on the same page. We communicate and it keeps us in check and keeps us accountable and respectful. But
communication is the key to it. Yeah. And that was one of the things that you said in the budgeting one, that one of the most important things was to make sure that everyone in your household is actually on board with it and that they know what the goals are and that everyone's working towards it. So if you need to use
the bed
as the place where you discuss your budget, then you go for it.
And I'm really tired. The bed's my favorite place. But okay, I digress. Holidays. So we have a set amount of money that goes into a separate savings account for holidays, and we can see it slowly and steadily build up. So when it comes to that time of booking airfares, accommodation, and having spending money, that money is pretty much ready to go. Now, there might be times where we're booking a holiday a little bit earlier than we hoped, and we don't have the full amount, and that's where the side hustle money that we can bring in to help top it up. But we'll actually sit down and work out, all right, so airfare is going to cost $4,000. We're going to spend $3,000 on accommodation. We're going to need at least $1,500 in spending money or whatever the numbers might be, because we want to be able to get on that plane knowing that everything has been paid for up front and there is absolutely no debt that we're going to incur on the way back. So doing research, finding special offers, finding hotels where breakfast is included, finding special package deals is really helpful. Seeing what's included in their accommodation, seeing if there's any, if we want to say get tickets to a show or if we want to go to a theme park, are there special discount and coupon codes where we can buy our tickets beforehand and buy them at a substantial discount? All that research, which is fun research, really does help. And I can't stress that importance of having that separate dedicated savings account that you chip away at and build up slowly and steadily over time, so that holiday, you don't get to breaking point and snap and go, we need a holiday so badly, stuff it, redraw the money off the home loan or put it on the credit card, we'll deal with it when we get back, which I think a lot of people do. It doesn't ever jeopardize our financial well-being.
Okay, there's a few things in that, and I agree that is fun planning to do as well. Do you find, though, and I'm probably jumping a little bit ahead here, that does it take any of the fun out of the actual holiday when you know that everything is so kind of planned and so kind of rigid? Or have you got a bit of a buffer there as well, that you're walking along the street and go, hey, let's go here for dinner instead? It's going to cost twice as much. But.
Absolutely. That's why I keep it, it's fluid. So I know that, for example, we have X amount of dollars as spending money. And I know that I need to ration it out, but there might be nights where we want to go to a really expensive restaurant, whereas the next night we're just happy to have fish and chips on the beach. So it's all about, being on a holiday as a family, making sure everyone's happy. This kid wants to go to that theme park, this kid wants to go to the aquarium, this one wants to go to the zoo, and then Tom might want to go and do a round of golf by himself, or I want to go get a spa treatment. You've got to factor in everyone. You've got to keep it fun and flexible. Yep. A holiday is about, letting your hair down, having fun, even a bit of a splurge here and there, but in doing it in a safe, responsible way is incredibly important. And the whole purpose of a holiday is to fill your cup again.
Yeah.
If you're going on a holiday, racking up credit card debt, setting yourself back financially, you're not going to come home recharged.
No. Absolutely not. And as we've talked about, I'm in the process of almost budget repair and trying to set ours up. So it will not surprise you to learn that we have a dedicated account.
One of those
18 accounts, is a holiday account. And we don't have money going into that every week. We essentially use extra money, any of that windfall stuff or side hustle. If my wife gets an extra day of work that wasn't budgeted for, or overtime, something that goes into that holiday account because it's not something that we've budgeted for. So that means that also having booked now in advance to know that we're going to Fiji next year, we know what we actually need to do in order to get to that. When should you be booking? How far in advance should you be booking a holiday? Is there better times of year to be doing it? If you book now for in 12 months time, you're going to get a better deal than if you do it obviously 2 weeks out.
It's not as straightforward as that because there's so many different intricacies when it comes to booking.
Yep.
So things like obviously there's the basics like booking outside of school holidays is going to save you a whole pile of money. But
Yep.
then particularly if you're flying internationally, looking at maybe what public holidays they've got because obviously that can impact the flights as well.
Oh, yeah. So look on the other end to see what.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, even that's checking the school holiday times for different states in Australia. In that, if you were going from, say, Victoria to Queensland, knowing that the two states not aligned on school holidays could actually mean that you land on the Gold Coast, for example, while everyone is still on holidays there, and you don't necessarily think about it. So it's kind of researching at the other end as well.
And you need to look at all the different flight zones as well. I mean, I'm a huge fan of a frequent flyer program. Both Tom and I, less so much me now, but more Tom does a lot of flying for work. So he'll rack up a whole pile of points that we can then use as a family to try and help bring down the cost of airfares. But also when it comes to we could almost do a whole program on a podcast on the frequent flyer programs because there's so many clever little hacks when you look at the flight zones.
Yeah.
But knowing, okay, well, actually to fly to Lord Howe Island is the same amount of points as to say fly Sydney to Melbourne.
Really?
Yeah. So this is what I'm talking about, the zones. So you've really got to do your research. And then there's so many things like Airbnb instead of staying at a hotel where you can do your own breakfast and lunch there instead of in an expensive buffet. Staying local, not traveling too far away is also a great way of affording a holiday. There are great package deals available. I'm going to give a huge shout out to a very financially friendly holiday that we do every year as a family.
Mm-hmm.
We live in Sydney and we go to Emerald Beach every year. So do you know where Emerald Beach?
No, sorry.
Okay.
I was like, I feel like I should know this, but I don't.
Okay, it's near Coffs Harbour. So you fly to Coffs Harbour, which you
of
can
course.
actually drive
Yep.
to. We have a family rule about if it's a certain amount of driving, we'll always fly.
Mm-hmm.
And so we can fly in our frequent flyer points. We get an Airbnb. So I'll buy a whole pile of stuff from the local supermarket and we can have breakfast at home and lunch at home and then we'll go out for dinner. And we're down at the beach. There's caravan parks. There's the butterfly farm. There's the big banana. You can go fishing. There's even a dolphin park. Like there's so many great financially friendly things you could do. And we haven't even left New South Wales. So I think a lot of people think, particularly as Australians, we travel overseas so much. We don't really explore.
Yeah.
Like you Americans traditionally, I know this is a sweeping generalization, but they're really good at exploring their own country. We don't not do that as much, I find.
And there are plenty of things to do here. There is just the fact is that no matter kind of what you're looking for, chances are we have it somewhere within the country.
And you're supporting the local community. So we'd go and eat at all the local cafes and get a coffee in the morning and go to the local restaurants. There's one restaurant that's half Mexican, half Italian, which is brilliant. So you don't need to spend a huge amount of money on a holiday. And our kids love it. And it's simple, it's easygoing, it's relaxed. And we don't come home with this like crazy expensive, bill because it's all been paid for up front. It fits within our budget.
Okay. I want to talk to you more then about the budget while you're on holidays in a moment. I'm intrigued by the idea of a Mexican/Italian restaurant and also by the concept of a butterfly farm. When you first mentioned that, I thought it was in fact a farm where they bred butterflies for meat or something. Then I realised that no, it's probably actually just more of a tourist attraction.
It is. It's this amazing glass house and they do breed butterflies there and they're all these amazing exotic butterflies. It's a really special place and you can buy crystals and all sorts of things.
So it's not quite as agricultural as I assumed. All right, we'll be back in a moment with a few more holiday tips. Now, Canna, I want to talk more about kind of adjusting your thinking when you're on holidays, because if you have been kind of putting yourself on a pretty tight budget throughout the year, it can be hard to kind of switch off that when you suddenly go away. And if you've been focusing on kind of getting that money towards your holiday, it's going to be hard. If you're away for a week, it's going to be hard to go, you know what, let's just enjoy ourselves and not just think about the money. Is the key to that making sure you've paid for as much as you can in advance?
You pay for everything in advance and have spending money and go and reward yourself and go, you know what, I'm getting on this plane or in this car or on this bus or on this train, knowing I've paid for everything. I've paid for my accommodation. I've paid for my transport, and I have spending money. And you should spend that money and make the most of it. And so that it allows you to properly switch off and you're not restricted and worrying and penny pinching and checking the price of absolutely everything because you've done your research. You know, okay, well, this is how much food costs here. This is how much activities and entertainment costs here. Enjoy that time. And if you, the other day I was talking to someone, actually I was interviewing them for my podcast, and they actually worked for a financial plan themselves, so they were quite responsible with money, and they do the same thing that I recommend. And she said they came home from their family budget with $1,500 left over.
Oh, wow.
Because they got on that plane with everything paid for in advance and spending money.
Where do you stand then on, say, package deals and or all-inclusive, say a resort? And I see this, I'm asking because when we've been kind of comparing places in Fiji, a lot of them offer kind of the full package of your accommodation and your meals, and the kids will eat free and there'll be transfers to the airport and all of that kind of thing. Things to look out for there, I suppose?
I think generally speaking, they're excellent value for money, and they've been designed, for young families where they're, obviously on a budget, and, you're looking to make it as simple as possible so you can switch off and enjoy it. But there've definitely been times where I have looked at, for example, booking accommodation, and you can get a price that includes breakfast and a price that doesn't include breakfast. And the price to include breakfast was an extra $80. And I'm thinking, hang on, I would never spend $80 at breakfast. Why would I go and buy the all-inclusive package? I'd rather just go round the corner and grab a takeaway coffee and maybe bacon and egg roll, or wrap of some sort.
Or a whole lot of cupcakes from a bakery, as you disclosed to us in an earlier episode. Just
Exactly.
do not let Canna loose near a bakery, it seems.
No, I know. I've got a problem. But you do need to look at it. Break it down. For example, we've got young kids. Sometimes those kids eat for free actually aren't great value because my kids barely eat anything. My two girls could share a bowl of pasta together. They don't. Yeah. So it's not actually good value for money if the kids eat for free.
And there's often a lot of kind of restrictions on it as well, that the kids eat for free, but they must eat between kind of 5:30 and 6:30 p.m. And if you want them to eat with you, then they will pay the full rate. Or
they don't include drinks, and the drinks are, frightfully expensive for a soft drink, So you've really got to look at the
holidays. We're not talking about soft drinks here, are we?
The devil's in the details is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. So look at it, break it down, and think, hang on, is this right for my family?
There are two other things I wanted to talk to you about. One is that you actually mentioned earlier, which was using points. Yes. And I think you are right. There's probably a whole other episode in that. But there are kind of different ways to use them. One where you can kind of use them to just redeem for like classic rewards or something, I think they call them on a flight. There's other ones that you can just use for an upgrade or something to treat you. If you do that, does that mean then you don't have to kind of count the cost of flights towards your budget or anything, that it's just kind of bonus?
Absolutely. If we can somehow squeeze Tom on my flights on using our frequent flyer points, obviously there's more money for accommodation, there's more money for spending, experiences and so forth. So we will always try and squeeze as much as we possibly can on our points, because that means it takes the pressure off having to save so much money for our holiday.
And then insurance.
Yes.
Is probably almost more important now than it ever has been because of what we've seen over the last few years with COVID and with travel plans just being disrupted nonstop. Hopefully now we're in a kind of a smoother place, but it's probably emphasized to everyone, you need it. You need insurance, but also obviously COVID, but then there's accidents that happen, things go missing, things get stolen. So having, then this is, I guess, one of the benefits of if you do have a credit card in your life and you're looking for a credit card that works for you, sometimes if you're doing a lot of travel, having that automatic travel insurance included as part of your credit card can be very, very helpful. Yeah. And obviously you've got to read the fine print and look at how that insurance product works and how it's actually activated. Yeah. Because some of them have conditions where you have to pay for the airfare on that credit card to activate it and so forth. So it is, again, that can save you $500, $800 instantly by having that automatic insurance. But you must factor in insurance before you get in the car to head to the airport or to jump on the bus or the train. And it's often not that expensive.
Exactly. And the thing is once something goes wrong, it's too late. It's not like you can suddenly quickly call up and get it over the phone whilst you're on holiday, about to book in to see a doctor or standing in a hospital. everyone, the responsible thing to do is protect your family. And I have seen situations where families, one of the children got hit in the head under a dining table in a restaurant, got really bad, severe concussion, and they had to be flown home in a private jet, all covered by insurance.
God, if you had to pay for that kind of thing, if you didn't have insurance, that would
hundreds of
crush
thousands of
you.
dollars. And this mother actually did a story about it on social media, saying the total bill came to something like $150,000.
Yep.
But she said then they were taken care of and they were flown to the closest, best children's hospital, and they were
Amazing.
overseas at the time. And the child was fine, thank goodness. But these are the things that you don't think about until they actually happen. And
That's quite terrifying, actually. I think that's, for an episode that was meant to be very positive and uplifting, it's kind of finished in quite a dark place. But it is a very, very good thing to take away from this, that travel insurance is a pretty small investment and could have an enormous return. It's just the peace of mind.
Peace of mind. And I think with all insurances, it's peace of mind,
Yep.
sleeping well at night, and it's
Yep.
pays for itself.
No, well said. Look, we've covered a fair bit, and it's all good stuff. This is actually something that you want to be doing. You want to be kind of saving for this, using your lifestyle account and putting money towards a holiday throughout the year, because it's good for your mental health. It's good to have something fun to work towards, to put your money towards throughout the year as you're looking. Keep an eye out for package deals, keep an eye out for specials, put together your list of things that you want to do so that you actually know what you're going to be doing on the other end. Pay for everything that you can in advance.
Yes.
So that there's no surprises.
Looking online, buying, especially those theme parks, quite often if you buy your ticket online and book it in advance, you'll get a great discount.
Yeah, that is a very good point. And the further in advance you buy, the bigger the discounts often.
Quite often, yes.
They actually kind of scale down. Keep an eye out for those savings. Do your research. Consider things like Airbnb, kind of staying local. Perhaps you might not be kind of right in the center, but just a little bit out. But then you get exposed to a whole new bunch of different things, different cafes, different places to eat. Consider using your points.
Yep. And even using cashback apps as well can be a great way of getting some money back, on your accommodation or your airfare on those big ticket items.
All right. And obviously insurance is the other thing. Make sure you got your travel insurance.
Yeah. Don't leave home without it.
Don't leave home without your travel insurance. Well, maybe not if you're just going to the shops. You probably don't need it for that. But if you are going on a trip, make sure you've got your travel insurance. Thank you very much, Kanna.
Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to hearing about Fiji.
Yes, in about 12 months' time. I'll be talking about it nonstop up until that point.
That's where you can about your side hustles to make sure that you have lots of spending money for
That's
Fiji.
right. I've got to put my 18 accounts to work. All right. Thank you very much for listening to How Do They Afford That? Remember to hit subscribe or follow and leave us a review too as well. Next week, we are talking about home loans and interest rates and what you can do to get a better deal. Do not miss that one.